All right. So
All right.
first,
All yours when you're ready.
so you guys
Oh boy.
can see this screen, right?
Yep, it's
See it
waving at us.
animating? All right.
Yeah.
So hi there. I've been thinking a lot about how best to teach Live2D and Ren'py, and I think the fastest way is to show it in reverse. So first, we're going to go. Actually, I say in reverse, but the first thing we're going to do is the actually first thing you really got to do. So into your Ren'py launcher, we are going right into this. And under preferences, we are going to click install libraries, install Live2D Cubism SDK for native. And that is essentially important. If you come away with anything else here, it's this. And then you can, once you do that, you can define a Live2D character with this line right here. Yeah, no intros. We are going right into the code, guys. So you want to use this line, define config.gl2 equals true. Very important line. And then you can define a Live2D character in the same way you do it with any image. So in here, we just have the image, which is me. If you can remember earlier, that's me. It's Live2D. And that D needs to be capitalized. Got to make sure that thing's capitalized or else it does not work. And then in parentheses, the location of the folder containing all your Live2D exports of for that character, which needs to be titled the same as the export name over here. And just don't worry about that, guys. We're doing this reverse. We'll get to that later. And then any adjustments that you want to get to in here. And in this case, to keep things short, the only things that I'm going to be worried about are setting the default fade to 0, which just turns off the fading between animations. I want these to snap really quick. And I want loop true right here. This just makes sure that the animation's playing a loop. Otherwise, it just plays the animation once and stops. There are a lot of other settings you can adjust in here, but we don't have a lot of time. We got to keep going. And these are the ones I use the most often. So now your Live2D character is set. And to reference the different animations, you can just add those in the same way you'd refer to different expressions. So we have the image me here. And to reference the different animations, you just add those in the same way that you refer to different expressions. So we have high, high 2, and high 3. Now, where are those things from? Well, that's from this folder, and these are the motion exports that we have here. Super easy. But where did these animations come from? That's crazy. Going in reverse here seemed really stupid. It's not. It's a great idea. Here's the animations right here. So I have a number of different animations that I've made for this character, including the ones here, the high, high 2, high 3. And here's a little loop animation, which is going to show you very simply how these animations are set up in Live2D. And this is the last stage, by the way. This is the very last stage of the process. Keep in mind, we are doing this in reverse. Here are all the animations that are made out of characters' parameters that are set with keys in this timeline. So let me stop one of these animations. Let me just show you one of these parameters right here. The head tilt, that one's great. So in here, if you see me adjust one of these parameters, you can see the model move a corresponding part here. And then it's automatically setting a key in that timeline. Boop. And yeah, let's just make a new one real quick. It's not going to take too long. Okay. So I'm just going to take I'm going to take my guy right here. Boop. I'm going to move that head or whatever, mouth expression. Bloop. Okay, that didn't work, but just go with me on this. It's going to make sense. Yeah, there we go. You've also got to set this thing. I'm making this not fast now. There you go. Animation done. We did it. To make a new animation, we can add a new animation using this button right here. This creates a new scene, or you can copy the selected scene, which is go ahead, take one of these animations and just make a duplicate of it. And that just makes it easier for you to modify it later on. So you just saw me do that like super duper quick, almost jokingly slow, fast. But usually I can get a whole animation done like this. Like this took me maybe 10 minutes. If I want something special, but short loops or expressions can be done even faster if you just want to pose these characters using these parameters. Obviously, you can get much more involved with your animations, but this is mostly what I use. And we got to keep going. So how are these parameters created? These seem all like super duper important. Well, for that, we are going to go to the model. Oh my God, it's been 5 minutes already. I'm going so slow. I got to hurry up even faster. All right. So here, each of these parameters refer to a specific body part. And here's the parameters right here that I define in the parts and deformers list. So here's the deformers list, and here is the parts list. For example, parameter arm position, which I think is right here. Yep. This refers to how the bone arm position, which is kind of a little hidden, you can't really see it all that well, but there it is. There's the arm position bone. That just refers to how that moves around in the scene along that axis. Now, Live2D comes with a bunch of predefined parameters. So when you start a new one, you'll get a whole list of them here. But I prefer to make mine from scratch. So you can just select the new parameter button, set a range of values. So from here, we're going to go -30, 0 to 30 for minimum, default, maximum. Boop. And then select one or more parts. So, you know what, let's just make another one for this little bone here. Now we're going to set the keys for that motion. If we're not worried about a default position, we're going to press the little 2 buttons right here. That just sets a, far position, and that's for the old one. So that's going to be for just 2 positions. But if you want a centered position, for whatever reason, you can press the little 3 button right there. Boop. So let's do that. And I'm going to just move this from side to side. So here, I want this over here. Whoops. No, come on. I'm doing this live and this is screwing up. Don't make me look stupid, Live2D. Don't do this to me. All right. So we're going to have this parameter here on the far side. We're going to move it over here. Come on. There we go. Over there. Goes back to the defaults. And then over here. Wow. Whoops. Come on. You can do it. And we're going to move it over here. There you go. Wonderful. I have that. So yeah, once you have those down, you move the part to the different positions where you have the keys set. If you have more keys you want to add to the motion, there's little add, subtract buttons here. So we can add like some little secondary position right here. Boop. Or if you want to get rid of them, you can just kind of, press it. And then press that little negative right there. And normally that's supposed to remove it. Let's just pretend it didn't keep going on. Or if you want to remove the keys entirely, you can press the struck out keyframe buttons like right up here. But I do not want to delete all the keyforms because I'm going to show you how to move things along in 2 axes. Ha ha. So for that, we're going to add another parameter. Boop. I'm going to select the same part. And oh no. There we go. Select the same part, blop, blop, and we're going to move it along the y-axis. So now I want it to go, come on. Sure. Down there, whoop, and then up there. So there we go. Now that's moving along the y-axis. But if I try to move these 2 little parameters at one, that's going to kind of override. Oh no. Here, let's pick another one just so I can show you guys that better instead of just the rapid sort of thing there. So here I have a head turn from left to right and a head turn up and down, but you will, and this whole thing is collapsing. Oh no. All right. So normally what happens is these, oh, right. I remember why that's happening. Okay. There we go. We'll do eyes. There we go. Left to right there. Up and down there. But these things can kind of override each other. Oh God, for some reason, this is actually working out exactly how it's supposed to. I was going to show you guys, oh, you just link it together. And now we have these positions linked up here like this. So just enjoy. So hooray, now they move along the 2 y-axes. In some cases, the corners can get a little wonky. And for that, you can either manually adjust the position of this image. So this like combined keyframe, like, oh, I don't like that going off of there. We can manually adjust the position of the eye there, or we can press 3 lines up here, go to synthesize corners, and it's going to automatically just make things work out a little bit better for us, which we're not seeing that. That's what happens when we do a live presentation of this, is I look foolish. Just trust me that this is all very cool stuff. We can also swap between images with parameters. For instance, I have 3 different hands here. So we have hand 1, hand 2, which is hidden, hand 3. And I can use the parameter of hand form here, to swap between all 3 of them. So I just change the opacity of each one of these hands here. So you can see here, I think it's set for 0% in this little inspector value here. So that way I can turn them each on and off. And you've been seeing me do this a lot. If you want to reset everything back to default values, you can press this reset to default values thing at the top menu there. Obviously, there's a lot more involved with these parameters, but let's go more into different objects because I am 10 minutes in and oh my God, we are barely halfway through. So there are 3 main things that this model is made out of: bones, deformers, and meshes. Bones are great for moving and animating objects. In this deformer tab, right over here, we can also see that everything is a part of this body bone right here. This body bone that I'm trying to rotate right now so you guys can, there we go. Everything is derivative of that. So when the body moves, everything else moves with that bone. We can attach bones to bones so that the bone moves, all the other bones move. And this is great for arms and legs, but I also like using if there are multiple ways I want to move an object. For instance, I have one bone here that I use just for moving the head around in this little spot there. So you can see that there. But I also have a separate bone for the head tilting right there. You can see it's moving right there for a little tilt there. Up in the parts list, this is also where we're setting the display order, which isn't that important for bones, but it is super important for meshes. And for a mesh, let's look at the face right there. Meshes are something we use to subdivide the individual images this thing is made out of. I suggest for any object you move around, set it in a smaller mesh than the default one, which is just a couple of triangles. So if we press this, this is kind of the default mesh. Oh God, the functionality of Zoom is hiding these top menu buttons. I can't see them. Uh-oh.
Drag that bar.
I can drag the bar.
I think you can move it.
Oh my God, I can. There we go. So there we go. That's like the default mesh is just that little block there. Congratulations. That's wonderful. So anyway, yeah, you want to take any object you're going to moving around a lot and subdivide it in an intuitive way. For instance, for the head, I am using meshes around the eyes and the lips. And let me show you that in solo. Ew, gross. So I have subdivisions for the different parts of the face. So when they move their mouth, the hole can get bigger and smaller. So we can see the mouth open. Here for the mouth open animation, I have the lips and head animate together, but I specifically change how the mesh moves around with this parameter so I can increase the mouth size and make the jaw move lower. So you can see the jaws moving there. If you use line art, you want to set a lot of mesh points around lines on the edges to make sure that you can keep them at the same line weight. I didn't do it for this because that's way too much work. And oh my God, 15 minutes. We got to go to deformers quick. Subdividing it in this way is also great for deformers. Deformers are great when you want to layer different mesh movements on top of one another. Here, I can put an image underneath this deformer. Bah. There we go. So I have the head angle there. Now all these body parts will move according to how I move this deformer around. So I have this deformer set for everything inside of here. And now when I move that kind of thing around, okay, that's just the face. But the smile warper, aha, that one's going to move a whole bunch of different parts. Yeah, that's moving lips and stuff around. So that's moving all of those things together. This deformer for head angle is taking all these images inside and warping them according to how it moves the deform around. This is where good subdivisions can help, because this takes into account the meshes underneath when it moves around. So better meshes make better deformer actions. For the head turn parameter, I'm using a mixture of deformer animations and meshes to make all these different body parts move in tandem with each other. And this way I can have the mouth animate open and closed. And the expression change while the head moves whichever direction I want. I did not realize how much going this fast would make this stuff seem incomprehensible. But trust me, when you start messing around with this stuff, it makes sense, because bones, meshes, and subdivisions can all be adjusted on the fly pretty much any time. But I usually suggest if you have to change the mesh under a subdivision, you move that image out of the subdivision first and modify and bring it back in there. But how do we get the images in the Live2D in the first place? Oh my God, I did not even cover that. Simply, you can put individual images in there, but I usually like to save everything as a PSD, and you can just simply drag and drop the whole PSD right into here, and it just takes care of it all automatically. And I'm going to get back to that Photoshop thing real quick. So to export, you want to set up an texture by pressing Control-T. And this shows you how you can put together the texture sheet. The texture sheet just puts together all the individual parts of your model. And if you want to, you can make images bigger or smaller. So like right here, I can make that smaller or bigger. Or if you feel like certain parts need to be crisper than others, you can just kind of adjust those. Then go into, and that's just going to automatically kind of do that once you do that. Yeah, let's cancel this texture. When you're ready to export, go into File, Export for Runtime. Export as MOC file, and export as this latest Cubism version. If you want the texture sheet smaller, I think that's going to be set right in here. You can adjust that here. Same sort of deal with the animations. Cancel. Blah. File, export for runtime, export motion file, blah. And all those things that you export are going to this folder. So here you can see that texture map that I had earlier is right there. Here are the MOC files. Put them in there. We already saw that code earlier. That's all what Live2D is referencing to. All right, cool. That's everything, right? No, because you need to make all this stuff in Photoshop. So in Photoshop, I have my self-portrait made, but I can't just paint it and expect it to work as a singular flat image. I need to plan out how I'm going to be constructing in Live2D later on. So here, and I'm getting so close to the end, guys. So here I have separated into different layers, like my eyelids, my hair. That's the nose shadow, my hair, all these different parts split up. The more individual parts you can make your model out of, the easier it's going to be later. And I'm trying to anticipate how to I'll set up various bones, meshes, and deformers. Again, there is a lot more nuance, and you can get incredibly granular here, but I'm running out of time. So, all right, yeah, once you save this file, I just collapse all these images down. I just move the whole PSD into Live2D, and there you go. That's the whole thing. Phew. 2 minutes left. All right, that's enough time for me to just kind of explain the last little important part. So yeah, how much is this animation software? Like $20 a month, $10 a month. And let me bring, oh no, not my thing yet. I had this all arranged. Nope, you can get a free trial version. And once that is done with, you can continue with the free version. If you compare these features, honestly, if you're just using this for Ren'py, you can work within the free version restraints pretty easily. But even if you want the paid version, it's a little over $100 for your first year, and it goes down in price after that up to 3 years. And I found that to be a pretty good deal. And honestly, I'm pretty sure I would have been fine with the free version. I'm probably overpaying. So now that we've learned about Live2D, let's decide if it's right for you. And we have like a minute for this. On the con side, Live2D currently only works in RenPy on PC and Linux, and with iOS with more work involved, but doesn't work the web or mobile platforms. And a singular character can take a little bit more work to get designed, rigged, and animated than just making a single sprite. But on the pro side, you have nearly unlimited animations and poses for a fraction of the time and space as having fully rendered poses. So I can make an infinite number of different animations, and it's just going to be using those same images. Once you have your model properly rigged, and again, it only takes a few minutes to set up simple poses and animations. Each of them refer back to the same texture sheet, which can be as small as a single character sprite. And you saw how easy it was for me to make a really stupid animation. If you have animated backgrounds, cutscenes, or even interesting character movements, you can set them up in RenPy, but it's way easier to build these things inside of Live2D. And finally, it looks cool. Okay, I am right at the end there. I'm Vimi. I have a YouTube channel. All of you guys should be subscribing to it because it's exactly what you're looking for. And also, I have a whole bunch of games that show off this stuff. I use Live2D and Phantomus, Romancing Flesh, Just Dumb Little Dances, and even LSD. I am wonderful. Here's my thing. Questions.
Congratulations for bringing us through what people are now calling VTuber percent speedrun. That is like completely exploded.
All right, I'm looking through the questions now. Yeah, I know. I had to not look at all. I just saw whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yep. Everyone's just kind of like
so
waiting for the recording.
Any chance you'll be making deeper? Yup. Oh, well, so about that, this recording will be coming up, but I am going to be making a more involved version of this later. I forgot my camera was on this whole time. You guys could see me nervous this whole time. Yeah, I'm going to be making some more in-depth videos later on this. There are some really nice videos that cover specifically VTuber related stuff, but there's just a lot of functionality there involving physics where you really need to get that set with Live2D for VTuber stuff. But for RenPy, I'm not worried about that. I'll just animate it to look cool. I'm not worried about like capturing, user images for this. Just animate stuff. It's faster.
All right.
Do you have any recommended resources for learning how to create?
Go ahead.
How does Live2D function inside of RenPy? I mean, this is it. This is the code. It's pretty easy. It's just there you go. You can even apply ATL code to it. So even with my little example game right here, you can see I just zoomed in on it. Yeah, that's just regular ATL code. I just zoomed, moved the position. I'm just gonna pick out some more questions here. Would it be possible to make it out of a already completed static sprite, or should you start with Live2D in mind and make a million parts? It depends entirely on how granular you want to get with it. I suggest at least like any parts where you're like, oh, that's a thing I want to like move and manipulate. Yeah, make that just a separate piece. Like, why not? I have made games where it is just a singular static sprite, and I just applied meshes in a very deliberate way to get some motion for that. So if you have like side characters, don't worry about taking the time like fully rigging them out. Just go ahead and just cut them up in a certain way in Live2D just for that one character. If you're just doing a couple animation, lends itself well to being broken down further. Looking for more questions. Thank you for marking it Q. Do you have any recommended resources for learning how to create art optimized for Live2D? Honestly, I don't know if there's any good resources for it. It's kind of more trial and error, honestly. I learned how to do most of my bone and mesh animating through Spine Animation, which is another 2D animation software. So I have tended to kind of learn a lot of the basics from that. But yeah, no, just check out how VTubers set up their stuff. I guess they're way more elaborate than you want to get. But if you can find any things on like setting up your sprites for spine animation, I feel like that's going to be, it's going to work itself better for video game stuff. So those are the things to look out for.
All right, we are at time. Thank you for VTuber%. All right, our last, how is it that we're at the last talk already? But PyTom, you're up.